Summer is finally here. New animals arrived migrating here in Italy, and I am going to make the most out of these 3 months. Hello everyone, this is MaiorWildlife, and today I wanted to share a small list of animals I really want to photograph in the rest of 2024 and 2025. Among these animals, there are some that are quite hard for me to see as I have not yet planned any trip in the places they are found in. This list is not in a specific order, although the last animal is definitely the one I want to see the most. First thing I want to say is I have photographed many species, most of these being birds, and one category of animal I really want to see and photograph this year are mammals. As of now, I personally photographed 7 wild species of mammals, with those being the European rabbit, the brown hare, the nutria, the red squirrel, the red deer, the fallow deer, the wild boar, and the house cat. There are 2 categories of animals I have photographed even less than mammals, these being reptiles and amphibians, with 6 reptiles and 0 amphibian species photographed in the wild. I could make a whole list just for them. The animals in the list are the ones that come to mind when I think of what I want to see next. Some of these I have already seen, others would be completely new. Now, let's begin with the first categories of animals: reptiles and mammals. As previously said, I have photographed only a few mammal species and even less reptile species. Reptiles I have not seen much are snakes. We in Italy have quite a bunch of snake species, and the ones I have seen are the adder and the green whip snake, which is really common where I live. As of mammals, there's quite a bunch of them I want to see and photograph. These being the roe deer, porcupines, hedgehogs, mustelids such as the European badger, martens, and otters, and the larger carnivores such as wolves and bears. Most of these animals are hard to find because they are scared of humans, and I probably won't see them without a huge quantity of luck. Now, one native carnivore I have seen multiple times and hoping to actually photograph is the red fox. These are some of the most common carnivores in Europe and the most widely distributed canid in the world, native to Europe, North America, Asia and Africa, and they were introduced to Oceania by humans and are now an invasive species there, making them found on 5 continents out of 7. There are many places where I could see a fox this year, and one of them I will go very soon. Now, moving on for a bit from mammals, we have birds. As you might have understood, birds are my favorite animals. Among these birds, there are some that I will probably not get to see in the nearest future, but still hoping to. First off, we have pelicans. I have never seen a pelican in the wild before, although I did photograph 3 species in different zoos in Europe, these being the great white pelican, the pink-backed pelican, and the Dalmatian pelican. Now in Europe we have 2 native pelicans, being the great white and the Dalmatian. These are perhaps the largest freshwater birds, with the Dalmatian pelican being the largest one in the world. In Italy, pelicans are very rare, found in only a couple of regions in the peninsula, not including mine unfortunately. Pelicans give the name to the order Pelecaniformes, that not only comprehends them, but also herons, egrets, spoonbills, and ibises. Ibises are found all over the world, with Europe having 2 native species, the glossy ibis and the northern bald ibis, as well as a highly invasive species being the sacred ibis. I have recently photographed the glossy ibis and today wanted to focus on the northern bald ibis, as it is one of the most endangered birds in Europe. This species was once widespread around Europe, North Africa and the Middle East, but around the 20th century numbers went declining extremely fast because of poaching and habitat loss. The northern bald ibis has been reintroduced in many countries where it was once extinct, like Austria, Switzerland and Italy, with its status changing from critically endangered to endangered, a small step in saving this beautiful species. Now, moving on to a different order of birds, we have woodpeckers. In Italy, we have 9 species, with these being the Eurasian green woodpecker, the great spotted woodpecker, the lesser spotted woodpecker, the black woodpecker, the Eurasian three-toed woodpecker, the gray-headed woodpecker, the white-backed woodpecker, the middle spotted woodpecker, and the Eurasian wryneck. Almost half of these are found only in the Alps and in the rest of Europe. The only woodpecker I have ever seen is the Eurasian green woodpecker, the largest European woodpecker and the most common here alongside the great spotted. I am a huge fan of woodpeckers and only got to see my first one in 2024. I am hoping to see more when I go to the Alps during the summer. Among the many species I have seen in the years, some of the most impressive ones are certainly birds of prey. These predatory birds are divided into different categories, being the Accipitriformes, which comprehend eagles, hawks, kites, harriers, ospreys, secretary birds, and old world vultures; Falconiformes, which are falcons and caracaras; Cathartiformes, the new world vultures and condors; Cariamiformes, being the seriemas and the extinct airbirds; Strigiformes, being the owls. Among these orders, I have photographed Accipitriformes and Falconiformes in the wild, while a big objective for me would be photographing owls out in the wild. Now, owls are most active at night, so photographing one would be quite hard, but they can be seen during the day if you pay enough attention. One example I extremely love is the short-eared owl. This is an owl species which is active around dawn. It hunts around that time and, differently to other owls, it rests on land. Among other owls I want to photograph are the long-eared owl, the Eurasian eagle owl, the little owl, and the barn owl. We are now going back to talking about mammals, because we have the order Artiodactyla, an order which comprehends animals such as cetaceans, bovids, boars, and cervids. In my life, as I stated before, I have photographed the red deer, the fallow deer, and the wild boar. In Italy, we can find, apart from the ones I have mentioned, 6 more species excluding cetaceans. These are the roe deer, a smaller cousin of the red deer, found commonly in most of Europe; the 2 species of chamois, the northern and the Pyrenean, found in the 2 separate mountain chains in Italy; the wild goat, found exclusively in Monte Cristo, an island off the shore of Tuscany; the mouflon, and the alpine ibex. The alpine ibex is a goat species only found in the Alps, and was once on the brink of extinction, but is now listed by the IUCN as least concern. This animal has some amazing characteristics, such as the large horns and the ability to traverse extreme terrain. We are coming down to the last 2 animals in the list, and the first one is the European shag. Firstly, I would like to say that I have seen this bird before and swam alongside it. I was on vacation in Genova and was swimming off the rocky shore when in front of me a shag comes out of the water and looks me straight in the eyes, probably not expecting a human to be so close to it, and just swims along with me for a bit before going back under the surface to fish. Before this happened, I did not know what a European shag was and just thought it was a great cormorant. After some months, in December, I actually found another European shag, but couldn't photograph it either. And, surprisingly enough, in April I found a couple that was flying over the horizon in Emilia-Romagna during a school trip. But the photo I got is rather unsatisfactory, but let's say that. Now I am extremely determined to get a good photo of a European shag and of the last animal in this list. As I mentioned in the owl section, birds of prey comprehend many groups, including the old world vultures. Vultures are my absolute favorite bird species ever, with Italy having the 4 native European species: the Eurasian griffon vulture, the cinereous vulture, the Egyptian vulture, and my favorite and final objective for this list, the bearded vulture. The bearded vulture is a large old world vulture found around Europe, Africa, and Asia, in mountainous habitats, preferably rocky. These birds are quite unique as they feed almost only on bones, with up to 90% of their diet being that, and the rest being some other parts of the carcass. The bones it eats are at times too large to consume, so to make it possible, the bearded vulture drops them from heights up to 150 meters off the ground to break them in pieces. This beautiful bird was once extinct in most of Europe, but reintroduction programs helped it thrive again in Italy and Spain. Well, that's about it. I have many more objectives this year, like storks, avocets, spoonbills, and other rare birds, which I will probably talk about in the future, but for now, I will see you guys in the next video, which will be in the Alps.